Thank you for watching this short video. For those who don't know me, my name is Brother Sean, and I'm an enclosed lay monastic monk, a Franciscan monk, who embraces Celtic and Franciscan spirituality from my own little monastery without walls here in the South Lakes. You could say I'm on the outside of the established Catholic Church looking in, whereas many years ago I was a nursing monk on the inside looking out. I prefer my life to be simple, and certainly to try and obliterate all forms of negativism, judgmental attitudes, and even dogma, and to try and follow in the footsteps of the barefoot Galilean, and of course Francis of Assisi. But I have a great love for all spiritual teachers, Rumi, Osho, Mia Baba, the Lord Buddha, Vishnu, Ganesh and Krishna. They all share a similar story, and love is the underpinning factor, as was with Sri Chinmoy, Teresa of Calcutta, Gandhi, dear Gandhi, and also His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I have a great love for all of these men and women, including of course Hildegard of Bingen, Julian of Norwich, and little Therese of Lisieux. They all inspire my heart to live this simple life. Not easy in a modern world, but Jesus said it never would be easy. But he did say that I would send my Spirit to give you strength and comfort. But this short video is really asking a poignant question. Why celebrate Holy Week when it happened 2,000 years ago? Good question. And the answer, I pray, won't be a babbling one. It'll be from my heart. It's important for me, as a Catholic Christian, to be reminded of an amazing event that took place 2,000 years ago. And that was the death of a young man. A young man who was the Son of God, Jesus, the prophet, the Nazarene, the Essene. Jesus today is celebrated in every Christian church throughout the world. This is a special week, Holy Week, or Passion Week as we used to call it in Ireland many years ago, for it's a reflection on what he did for us. That he gathered his 12 disciples and he sat with them round a table. He broke bread and drank wine to symbolize his body and his blood. And today we commemorate that in the Holy Eucharist. But something special happened 2,000 years ago, with this young man who was the Son of God, but he was man also. He had two natures, both divine and human. In his divine nature, he agreed with his Father, Mother God to pay the price for the willful sinfulness and negligence of the children of God. By being nailed to a cross and by enduring the most excruciating pain that any human being has endured or faced in the history of mankind. But he didn't do it because he was a criminal. He did it out of love. He volunteered to put himself through this for you and for me. Now maybe you've switched off by now. I pray you haven't. But today it's important that we commemorate this as a life-changing event, but that we don't crucify God's Son again and again, which we do through our willful stubbornness and neglect. when we close our heart to divine love, we're actually allowing the Christ to suffer again. Now he suffered as a one-off offering that cannot be repeated, but when you or I remain closed to the promptings of the Spirit of God, there's got to be a chain reaction. And when you look at the beautiful world today, and it is a beautiful world, creation for me is the cathedral of God. I've spent most of my life in and out of chapel, but today I spend most of my day in and out of nature's woodland, the cathedral of God. Because with nature I can see and sense God. I can sense the beauty of God. I can hear my God. Whereas in a church building now, you can get so caught up in the ritual and other people's words that you forget who you are and why you're there. So I'd rather just do it alone and keep it simple. You may not approve of that, and that's your choice. But I've, over the years, danced over many suitcases and fallen over many handbags, and here I am, after 55 years of struggling with my belief, with my faith. At the age of 64, I can honestly say that God has allowed me an opportunity to follow him by living this simple life. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's mine. And for years I fought it after leaving the church. When I left as a young monk, I'd had so much of religion and the hypocrisy and the lack of transparency. But today I tried not to focus too much on the in-house politicking that goes on, and I try to just keep my life simple by focusing on one thing: God's love for me, that he sent his Son for me, for you. What's that saying to your heart? That the Son of God endured the passion of Good Friday for you. For you. Maybe you think, oh, it doesn't matter because I don't believe. Well, if not, then at least respect that fact, that Jesus didn't just die for Christians. He died for every child of God from the beginning of creation. And when you look at what's happening in our beautiful world today, the atrocities committed by man to the animal kingdom and to God's children, when you see the mass slaughter by egotistically driven men and women, like poor Hitler, what he did, Stalin, Mugabe in South Africa. Look what's happening in Egypt, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Israel, in Palestine. When the Christ, the Son of God, came on earth, he came as the Son of God, as a teacher. He led by example. He walked the talk. He didn't talk the walk. And like so many great spiritual teachers, he led by example. And that's why I've such a love for Sri Chinmoy and dear Gandhi, because they lived it like Jesus. So is it important to celebrate the Passion Week ceremonies? Yes, it is. Because human nature being what it is for me, I forget so quickly. And I do need gentle reminders, because my brain gets so saturated with so much other stuff that I can often forget the important stuff. Like, for example, a friend whom you love. You can easily forget their birthday. But Good Friday, for me, 3 o'clock every year, I get a fullness in my heart where I want to weep tears for the price that Jesus paid for me. But I see Good Friday now as the birth, the resurgence of peace. For me, his death is the birth of Namaste. Let us just reflect for a moment. Let us come into our heart and let us ask our heart, why did Christ suffer for you? Why did he suffer for you? Why did he suffer for me? And the simple word is love. He loves us so much. The Father, Mother God really loves you and me so much that they would willingly allow their only begotten Son, the Christ, to be crucified. What a legacy. So I would like to share with you some beautiful words that were given by Christ himself to another being of light. I am a God of both intricate detail and overflowing abundance. When you entrust the details of your life to me, you are surprised by how thoroughly I answer your petitions. I take pleasure in hearing your prayers, so feel free to bring me all your requests. The more you pray, the more answers you can receive. Best of all, your faith is strengthened as you see how precisely I respond to your specific prayers. Because I am infinite in all my ways, you need not fear that I will run out of resources. Abundance is at the very heart of who I am. Come to me in joyful expectation of receiving all you need, and sometimes much more. I delight in showering blessings on my beloved children. Come to me with open hands and heart ready to receive all that I have for you. What are these words saying to you? They're saying so much to my heart that it's important that you hear them too. And he says this is a time in your life when you must learn to let go of loved ones, of possessions, of control, in order to let go of something that is precious to you. You need to rest in my presence where you are complete. Take time to bask in the light of my love. So Holy Week, Passion Week, is a celebration of love, of how much God loves us. That they, our Father, Mother God, would allow their Son, Jesus the Christ, to suffer the most horrendous indignities out of love for you and for me. And even if I wasn't a Christian, I would be touched by his story. I know I would. But are you touched in your heart of hearts that in history 2,000 years ago, a young man voluntarily gave his life for your and my freedom? It takes a lot to take in, doesn't it? But if you are unsure, then all you have to do as a child of God is to do what I have to do every day. Get on your knees and ask the Father, Mother God to speak to your heart. It doesn't matter what you've done with your life. It doesn't matter whether you've squandered all the gifts that God has given you. It doesn't matter if you're a pole dancer, a lap dancer, a prostitute, a drug baron, or a prisoner. What matters is that your heart is open. Unlike a lot of God's servants in ministry, take for example the churches. There are so many who have positions of high office, and the office has given them another personality where they instill fear, and where many of them, their hearts are closed. And that's why we have spiritual teachers like Rumi, Osho Miyababa, Francis of Assisi, Claire and Colette, Gandhi, Sri Chinmoy, to remind us that where the churches and religion have gone astray in the minutiae of the ritual, they come with this simple message, that God is love. And where there is love, there is light. And where there is light, there is hope. And where there is hope, there is freedom. Religion does lead us to spirituality. It did in my case. But the religion became oppressive, guilt-ridden, fear-ridden. And in the end, in desperation, my prayers were answered, and I was introduced to a simpler way to get rid of all the dogma, the fear and the negativity, and replace it with a simpler life, keeping everything simple, like Francis. And by keeping it simple, we allow the heart to be more receptive to the love and the teachings about love from God. So Holy Week for me is as important as the air that I breathe, because I need to be reminded of what a young man did for me to set me free 2,000 years ago. And I pray for you that you too will experience a tangible expression from your God. Christ died for you also, for your happiness, and that one day you will return and surrender your heart and experience His love. Thank you for watching. Namaste.